Hi, it's Josh Goldberg here. Welcome back to our channel. Today I wanted to share with you my experience with inner child therapy. Inner child therapy is a form of therapy that involves a very mild hypnosis and deep inner focus to release stored emotions that come from past trauma. Okay, so as you may know, my wife and I spent the first year and a half of our marriage overcoming her condition, of borderline personality disorder, which was coming from significant childhood abandonment, anxiety and attachment issues and other traumas. So this was a very rewarding and enlightening experience going through this together with my wife for the first year and a half. Myself personally, I didn't have any significant childhood trauma or attachment trauma or anything like this. However, my parents did divorce when I was 10. So I had a perfectly good childhood, so I don't suffer from CPTSD or BPD or anything like that. But my parents divorced when I was 10, and if you haven't already seen, my wife and I, we made an interview together on our journey of overcoming BPD in our marriage. I'm going to put a link to that interview in the description. You'll see in that interview that something that I struggled with in the marriage with my wife as we were overcoming BPD was the very intense feelings of confusion. So for the first 9 to 10 months of our marriage, because of my wife's childhood emotional neglect and her physical neglect and her very strong traumas and all the triggers that were, keeping her in a hypervigilant state the whole time. So for the first 9 to 10 months of our marriage, I really didn't hear anything about my wife's feelings, about her opinions, and couldn't really get to know her on any deep level. So I had very strong feelings of confusion. This was causing me to asking a lot of questions, in an attempt to get to know her. So it's kind of like knocking on her door, trying to build more of a deep connection, to understand more about her emotions, even about her life. So for the first 9 or 10 months, I really didn't get to know her really well at all. She didn't have emotional literacy. She wasn't able to express her emotions. A lot of difficulties in communicating, ineffective communication. And for me, this led to very strong feelings of confusion, and I would, ask questions all the time. And this was this was quite annoying for my wife, who was not emotionally literate or available. So that was something that we discussed in our interview, and it's perfectly normal for someone that's confused in a relationship to be a little bit uncomfortable, but I was a little bit past uncomfortable. It was triggering me in some way, and I was acting on it a lot. I would ask questions, and it kind of led me to be desperate, desperate to ask, to find out a little bit more than I would say someone else. And like I said, confusion in a relationship is never a good thing. Two adults shouldn't be confused when they're having a relationship together. They should be able to express themselves and to tell the other person how they feel, what their opinions are, and share each other's understanding. But I was terribly confused. So I decided to do an inner child therapy session with a really good friend of mine and a colleague who I'm hoping to introduce on this channel in the near future. He's an inner child therapist He's from Australia. He lives in Jerusalem now. Okay, we currently live about 20 minutes south of Jerusalem in the Judean hills. So I decided to go for an inner child session. I was interested to find out if I had any unresolved emotions and anything that was, driving this behavior of asking questions, and the confusion and the discomfort that I had from being confused. Okay, I didn't know why I was so uncomfortable with being confused. A lot of things in life you don't know and you can just function without them, but I was very uncomfortable. So I drove into Jerusalem, and we had our session, and it basically just involves the inner child therapist just finding out like a timeline of your story, and then they obviously get you into a state of relaxation, which is just focusing on your emotions, focusing on your feelings. Okay, so I was doing this. It was a very nice experience, and after about 15 or 20 minutes of this induction period, the practitioner was then asking me to walk down a staircase, and it had 10 steps, and with each step I was going deeper and deeper into an unconscious state of hypnosis, and my body was becoming more and more heavy. And when I got to the bottom of the staircase, I was told that I was in a library, and my inner child was there waiting for me. Okay, so as soon as I got to the bottom of that staircase, I looked over to myself as a child, okay, as a 9-year-old child, and I knew instantly, like the practitioner asked me, what does he look like? What is he feeling? What does he want to say to me? And I didn't even have to walk over to my inner child. I could see from a distance that he was puzzled and he was confused. Okay, my inner child was confused, looking at my parents about that he was confused about why they had to get a divorce. Okay, a 9 or 10-year-old doesn't understand the reasons behind separation and behind divorce. So my inner child was terribly confused, didn't have the reasons, and this was the origins of the feeling of confusion, leading to a very deep discomfort and a very powerful feeling of fear, a fear of divorce, a fear of separation. And this was an amazing discovery for me. I had no idea, and I can even see back now that this confusion probably even affected other relationships, so it's something that was inside of me since I was 10 years old. So inner child therapy is very powerful, and once these feelings are identified and in the session, the person is encouraged and supported to let go of these emotions. Again, I can tell you from my experience, I was sitting on a couch and the room was darkened. Okay, there was probably some candles or something, and there was some delta wave music playing. And my friend, the practitioner, who was encouraging me through this process, he encouraged me to let go of these feelings, and it was so powerful to experience and to let go of these feelings of confusion and fear. I could actually feel the emotions come up into my throat a little bit. I think that was the fear, but the confusion was coming out through my eyes and through my nose. Okay, like it was just literally just pouring out of me. I know it sounds a little bit gross, but this is just what happens. My friend told me that he sees all types of stuff as emotions come out. Okay, yelling and crying and screaming and whatever else. So, but for me, it came up into my throat. I could feel it in my throat. My throat was closing up. I was finding it very difficult to swallow. Okay, just because these emotions were so powerful. And it was pouring out through my nose and through my eyes, and it's a little bit uncomfortable because under the state of mild hypnosis. Like your body feels like it's 400 pounds, like you can't actually move your body. So I wanted to lift up my hand and wipe my nose a little bit because it was tickly from all the liquid coming out of my eyes and my nose, but I wasn't able to move. So it was a very nice experience, very emotional, obviously. So this was just from my parents divorcing, okay? So it wasn't any abuse that happened to me. It was powerful, but it wasn't as significant as people that suffering with CPTSD. Same with borderline personality disorder. So inner child therapy is the 4th phase of our 5-phase healing and growth program for people that are suffering with BPD traits or CPTSD traits. It's very powerful, and letting go of this fear and confusion for me, it totally changed the marriage with my wife. It totally changed our relationship. It really helped her to heal even more. It helped our relationship to heal. And this is what I say in a lot of my videos, that the spouse of a BPD person or someone suffering with CPTSD really has to do some inner child work themselves to make sure that they don't have any lingering unresolved emotions from childhood or from past relationships or from any previous trauma, okay? Because borderline personality disorder, as well as CPTSD and narcissistic personality disorder, okay, if you're in a relationship with anyone that is acting through trauma, it will bring out your traumas also. And this was certainly a trauma of mine. I had no idea going through my life for 20 years that the feeling of confusion brought on a very strong feeling of fear, which was causing me to, act in a way that was a bit desperate and a little bit persistent. So it was a very powerful process, okay? Immediately as the emotions came out, for the following day or so, I found that I was feeling much lighter. My wife noticed a huge difference in just the general level of my comfort in the relationship. I was able to be, I guess, less persistent with inquiring about things. And at the end of the day, it helped our relationship a lot. It also helped my wife's healing process, because then my trauma wasn't coming into it. So like I said, this inner child healing therapy is a very important part of overcoming BPD. My wife also went through this process, and in my opinion, a person cannot heal from CPTSD and BPD without doing inner child therapy and letting go of any unresolved emotions, okay, from childhood traumas or from other traumas in life. It's phase number 4. It's a very important part of the program. I myself did it, and I didn't even have significant childhood trauma or BPD traits or CPTSD. So if you have any questions on inner child therapy, please feel free to reach out. As I said, in the future, I hope to have the inner child practitioner that I'm connected to. We actually have a few that we work with, but this particular one I hope to interview on this channel to give you more information on that. So that was my experience with inner child therapy. It was extremely rewarding and powerful. I'm so glad that I did it. I have never felt better in my relationship now, and also in the past when I did it. It's very instantaneous results when you let go of the emotions, and it's a very healthy thing to do. So if you have any questions on inner child therapy, please feel free to reach out. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.